I'm not even joking. Like, one of my interviews was all about my personal statement. They mentioned like, so in your personal statement, you said this, can you elaborate a little bit more? I talked about it and I gained an acceptance. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sutra and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm going to be helping you guys write your personal statements. So I remember when I was writing my personal statement, I was really nervous because it felt like such a big task to tackle. So I'm just going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to make your personal statement stand out and how it'll hopefully gain you an acceptance into your top school. So before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know how important the personal statement is. So during my application, I knew that I wanted my personal statement to stand out because I wanted the application committee to kind of get a feel for who I am, like what my character traits are, how I speak. I really wanted my voice to come through my words. So I'm saying this to say, when it was time for interviews, most of my questions came on what I wrote for my personal statement, and I was not expecting that. Like, one of my interviews was all about my personal statement. They mentioned like, so in your personal statement, you said this, can you elaborate a little bit more? I talked about it and I gained an acceptance. Like, literally, I just talked about my personal statement. So do not sleep on your personal statement. Try to make it as good as possible. I feel like this is your best opportunity for the applications committee to really get to know who you are as a person. But do not worry if writing is not your strong suit. I do believe that these tips I'm about to give you, anyone can really implement them, and with the help of your colleagues, friends, family, whatever, like, they can kind of help you tweak to your own liking. And I really do think that you're gonna come out with an awesome personal statement. First, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, like, try to be as creative as possible with your personal statement. Gone are the days of to begin with, in conclusion. You know, you want to make your personal statement flow, but you want it to be creative. Kind of shock the application committee. Like, do something that's a little bit less conventional, so something that they weren't expecting with the style of your writing. A way to do this is with your hook. So you can start your hook with a quote. With open dialogue, you can just start like speaking right away, so you don't need to like introduce your topic. People already know what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about why you want to be a PA, all these things, whatever, right? But just start right away. You are going to want to include like these different things that you learned in like high school, like for example similes, hyperboles, onomatopoeias. You want to include all these different things to really, I don't know, zhuzh up your personal statement. Just think of like a book, like you're writing a novel, and how novels usually start. So they usually start in a way that wants the reader to keep going. An essay usually starts a little bit more dry, so you want to stay away from having a dry opening statement because they're reading so many applications, like so many personal statements. So you want the first sentence that you say to really jump at them and for them to be like, oh, that's kind of different, and they want to read on. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be a little bit unconventional, which is what I did with my personal statement, and I feel like that helped me a lot. So I started my personal statement as a conversation between two characters, so me and someone else. So you can't even write in yourself, like write about yourself in third person. I think that's so underestimated but so powerful. Like when you write about yourself in third person in the first paragraph, you don't want to write about yourself in the third person the whole personal statement because it can kind of get lost in translation and not be as impactful. The other thing, and that kind of ties into creativity, is to have a theme for your personal statement. Whatever it is that your theme is, you want to keep it throughout your personal statement. So my theme was about like trust. So having trust in the healthcare system. So in the beginning, I opened it with a dialogue that kind of, you know, tiptoed into that topic, but didn't really, like, you didn't really understand yet until you kept reading on. And then I brought in the idea of trusting your providers and how, as a patient, so I introduced myself as a patient in the beginning of my personal statement and ended with me being a provider and having a patient. So you see how there's kind of like a theme in the personal statement, so that way it's flowing, and then from beginning to end you're kind of keeping the same theme going, and that's going to take your personal statement to the next level, and it's going to be so memorable. So another thing is to include personal stories, and within these stories you want to be intentional. So you want your story to relate back to why you want to be a PA and why being a PA is the right choice for you. Do not make the mistake of saying that you want to go into the medical field and you want to help others, because there are so many different professions you can do in the medical field where you're helping others, you're doing all these things. So you want to say something that is specific to the PA field and relate it back to a personal story that you have in your life. It can be about autonomy and teamwork. I think that's a great way to like segue into being a PA, because it's like, you know, we have autonomy but we still work very close to a physician. So finding a creative way to include how that is something that you really enjoy in your life, being able to, you know, get feedback from other people, to bounce ideas off of each other. And that's why you really appreciate collaboration between the physician and the physician assistant, and you appreciate that role and how you've kind of, you know, had that role in your life before. And just include a story that kind of correlates back to how you would be as a physician assistant and how you are right now. So just merge the two together. Your personal statement is also a great place for you to address any gaps in your application. So if for any reason you had like a low grade, your GPA is not as strong as you would like it to be, your GRE scores, your personal statement is a great way to introduce that and talk about like difficulties you faced and challenges and how you've overcome them and why you think you're ready for PA school. But again, you want it to flow. There's nothing worse than a personal statement that is so choppy from like beginning to end. I want the person to be reading with enthusiasm. So as you're writing your personal statement, think about, is this a paper that I would want to read? Is this a paper that I'm excited to even write because it's good? Maybe everyone doesn't like writing, and I actually enjoy writing, but you definitely just want your personal statement to stick with the reader. Think about the emotions that you want the reader to feel as they're reading your personal statement. So you have to put in the specific words, like put in the specific transitions to get them to feel that way, to immerse them into your story. Something else that's super important is to be truthful in your personal statement. I know all of us doesn't have a crazy story to tell about when we knew we wanted to be a PA and why this is the perfect job for us and yada yada yada. You might not feel like your story is really that memorable, but regardless, just be truthful, because you are a human being, and regardless of what you may think is interesting, you still have a story to tell. You still have a story to tell that's worth hearing, that's worth listening to, that's worth reading. So just write about yourself and try to make it as interesting as possible, because you are interesting. You just need to like tap into that part of yourself that is more creative and doesn't see yourself as like a regular Joe, because you're not. The more authentic you are, the better your personal statement is going to be. Make it real, make it something that people can connect to. I can't really like tell you how to be authentic, because it's just something that you have to do for yourself, and you have to portray that through your personal statement. And I promise you, it's gonna be so good when you're like, you're just being yourself. Even if you say things that are a little bit like out of the box, I think it's even better that way, because it just shows that, you know, you're not afraid. And even during my interview, like there are some things that I said that maybe were a little bit like, she really said that. But I feel like that's what makes you special, and that's what makes you like stand out to the application committee, because these are all human beings that honestly enjoy when students are just themselves and, you know, able to kind of stand out of a crowd. So if you can do that through your personal statement, you're golden. And last is to get help with your personal statement. You're gonna have multiple drafts, so that's okay. The first statement that you write is probably not going to be the last. It can be the same theme, even if you're just changing like your grammar, your spelling, you know, adding different elements to make the to make it more of like an art piece, because that's really what you want to do. Get help from your family, your friends, your classmates, whoever. Don't have too many people reading your personal statement, because then you'll get too many opinions and you won't know which ones to like follow, and then you'll get too overwhelmed. So just pick 2 or 3 people, honestly 2 is fine, to read your personal statement, and they can give you their feedback on what they think would be better, what they think would make it more exciting from a reader's standpoint. I think that's also really important. And my last point is that know what is on your personal statement. Make sure that everything on your personal statement correlates to your application. Remember, this is an extension of your application, so everything kind of has to match. You can't have something on your personal statement that's contradicting what you wrote in your application. For example, if you wrote that you used to volunteer at, I don't know, your church or something, and your personal statement, that's a great place for you to kind of segue into that and talk about how, you know, tie it back into why you want to be a PA and blah blah blah. But don't have something that you never mentioned and then randomly you mention it in your personal statement. It's like, wait, what? So just make sure everything is like cohesive and you actually remember what you wrote in your personal statement, just in case you do get asked. You'll be prepared to talk more and to elaborate and to even, you know, just add on to the cool stories that you wrote in your personal statement. So I really hope that this was helpful for you guys, and with these tips that I gave you, that you'll be able to write a more confident personal statement. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you can keep up with more of these tips that I have for you guys for PA school. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.